Hi, Capricorn Sun and Rising. Welcome to your September 2025 Astro Update. It's Raina here. This is a big month. Eclipses, equinox. I'm just going to get right into it. On the first of the month, Saturn retrogrades back into Pisces. Saturn is your ruler, so wherever Saturn goes, you should be like perking up your ears or whatever you do with perking. And so for you, this is a backtrack from the fourth house into the third house. Okay. Now, Saturn briefly went into Aries, and it will go back into Aries in 2026. And it's going to go direct at the end of this year, but it won't go back into Aries until early 2026. And so that's the fourth house of home and family, where you will have more responsibilities or feel more of a sense of wanting to lay down roots, foundation in that area. But now it's going back into the third house, which has a connection to the fourth house. It has a family connection. So the fourth house can be your mother. That's how I see it. But I found out that for some people, the fourth house is the father. And so I just say family of origin, meaning either of the parents. But also you could say the family system as a whole, because the fourth house can be your childhood. It's your past. The third house can be your siblings, your brothers and or sisters. It can also be extended family members like aunts, uncles, and cousins. Saturn can create some sort of sense of duty, or it can also create some sort of restrictions, a paring down. Sometimes, and this is also true, like for instance, when Saturn goes through the 11th house, where a person maybe they're doing work on themselves and they're looking at what is not working in their life, and they come up to their family. I mean, they start thinking about that, and they start thinking, this is not working out for me. And for a Capricorn person, that would be pretty traumatic, because Capricorns tend to be family-oriented people. So that certainly wouldn't be something that you would easily do, but it does happen. So it could be that you decide to restrict maybe you have been dealing with restricting your contact with parents. Narcissistic disorder, personality disorder in family systems, a lot of times that creates sibling rivalry, because the parent favors one child over the other. And that can set up so much dysfunction within brothers and sisters. But it can go both ways. Once you discover that you have a parent who's a narcissist, you can realize that they poison the well by favoring, one of the siblings. And you can heal that rift by realizing that parent wanted, there to be a division. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to give into that. So I'm not saying that would be how it worked, but there's some kind of thing that you have to work with when it involves them. Possibly. It might have nothing to do with your family whatsoever. This could have to do with neighbors. You may be having some kind of a strain with neighbors, or maybe you're taking care of a neighbor while they are recuperating from something, and you were doing it before, and now you have to do it a little bit again. I could totally see a Capricorn doing, helping out their neighbor and, running errands for them or whatnot. But I want to mention one thing. Saturn is the lord of karma, and especially with our ties to family members, we can feel strong karmic connections, a lot more than we normally do with neighbors and kind of these relationships that are more on the superficial side a lot of times. If this Saturn retrograde has to do with you taking care of a sibling again, and you've done so in the past few years, it may be that you see that this person is doing something to themselves that is creating their problems. And maybe you realize that they have been enabled for a long, long time. Maybe you're the last person standing who everybody else has washed their hands of this person. So keep that in mind, because you may decide that it isn't your responsibility. This is part of this retrograde could be, is this my responsibility? Yeah, we are in the same family, but does that mean that I have to run and save them from themselves every time that they get into a jam? Does that mean that, you know what I mean? These kinds of things, we might feel like we're obligated, but we're not, and we might actually be hurting that person. That's the kicker. It's not just about like, no, it's not my responsibility, but it's like, is this actually serving them? So if this is anything to do with social media, this is also about, this could be like some type of work. If you have been a teacher, if you have been a writer, like especially with, well, I shouldn't say especially, but including journalism or any kind of media, and now social media, you may have been, maybe like there was some pull between your family life and your soul. You know, sometimes people blog and they, or vlog, and they're using their family. And I could see like I don't mean in like an evil way, but like if you had a family vlog and you pulled back because you were afraid of like maybe being like one of those showbiz moms or dads that were too aggressive with their kids, trying to promote them, and is this right? And you're kind of going back and forth on that. So that could be one of the things as well. Or just like the balance between your social media and your family life. On the 2nd, Mercury goes into Virgo, the other sign that is the opposite sign of Pisces, and that is your 9th house. And this could be that you're preparing for a trip. You could be studying a foreign language, or just studying at a university, or teaching at a university altogether. Maybe it has to do, Saturn going back into the 3rd house. Maybe you're teaching online. That could be it. On the 6th, Uranus retrogrades at 1 degree of Gemini. And this is falling in your 6th house, is it not? Yes, your 6th house. So that, yeah, definitely, because Uranus has briefly gone into your 6th house. That can mean work that you're doing remotely. So there's some kind of thing with that. Maybe you're doing it sporadically. It's not as or you're reconsidering it. You're weighing the pros and cons of it. Capricorn is one of those signs that I typically would say, and unless you're a sun in Capricorn and you have a lot of Aquarius energy, which tends to, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and will tend to be more, but even Aquarius is a fixed sign. So I'm sure there are plenty of Aquarians who like having a 9 to 5 type of, but if they decide to have it, not because somebody's telling them they have to have it. But I was just saying that I think that Capricorns in general don't mind a 9 to 5 existence because you tend to be, you're ruled by Saturn. So whatever is the traditional framework, you're down for usually. If this is your ascendant though, your sun sign can be anything, and more freedom loving signs like Sagittarius or Aries or something like that may not want to have that kind of life. So it all depends, but certainly that could be up in the, up for review at this time, because Uranus is very nonconformist. Your sixth house can be the type of schedule that you have on a daily basis. When Uranus is there, you can crave a lot of freedom with your schedule, like not having to work a set number of hours and blah, 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 that kind of thing. But also the type of work that you're doing could be kind of weird, far out type of things. And I always say like a Reiki master, something that involves energy medicine, because Uranus is like electricity, and I just envision, somebody, it's not even laying on the hands with Reiki, it's just kind of hovering them above someone. So I think of something like that. Yeah, so the next day on the 7th, we have the lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. So this is affecting your third house, and this can be, because this is the house of the mind, this can be like a major download. Usually I characterize the third house as the mundane mind. Well, if we, even if that's the case, it's like you're being inundated by cosmic energies. And for Capricorn, this is really helpful because it can, I was going to say unearth you. And, you've had Pluto go through your sign. So for the sun sign Capricorns, you may have already felt like you've gone through quite a metamorphosis. So this is going to be on the mental level, and this can let go of some of the things that you have held on to. Maybe these are what you think you've picked up living in this world is true for you, but it's almost like rewiring your brain, I feel like. It could be that you sever ties with a brother, a sister, or aunt, uncle, cousin, that that you just realize that's the last straw, but it's not even. The beautiful thing about lunar eclipses is that it's like the heavy lifting can be done for you, so that you don't have to be the bad guy sometimes. You don't have to do all that. And it's just meant that something is eclipsed out of your life. Or let's say you're a teacher and you're unhappy being a teacher, but you can't bear to quit because you think that will just lead to a downward spiral, because you're defying, even if you have a lot of money in the bank, you just might feel like, I can't do that to my parents. They paid for my education, and what would they think, and all this. It's like maybe there are budget cuts and all these people get laid off. And then you know what I mean? For lack of a better phrase, you might have an excuse. Not that you need one, but you might have one. And the point being that if you feel afraid to do it yourself, then the universe can help you to nudge you in a different direction. Okay, let me see here. I think this can even be coming online in a spiritual sense, and it's just like this isn't a spiritual awakening of sorts, because even though I mentioned the mundane mind, when the mundane mind is, it's like when people have spiritual experiences, they will talk about all of a sudden they could see all these geometric patterns, or all of a sudden, and I have never had something like this. I've just heard, I've been fascinated by hearing people talk about they would have downloads, you know what I mean? And downloads meaning that they're it's like if they sat down, and sometimes people do this where they just write, and it's like kind of automatic writing, and they're not even thinking about what they're writing. Their hand is just moving, and they're just being given all this information from the divine, that Pisces represents the spiritual dimension. So that, you could have something like that potentially. By the way, this date of September 7th, this might occur for you in August. If you're like, this happened to me already, that's why, because eclipses maybe 6 weeks earlier, something like that could happen. On the 18th, Mercury goes into Libra. Libra is your 10th house of career. So when you have these Libra placements, you're going to have this area activated. This is your area. This is your house, the 10th house of career and status in the world. So Mercury here means talking. If you're in between jobs, you might be talking to somebody in a position of authority. You may be speaking as an authority on some subject matter in front of others. On the 21st, there is a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo. So this is, I don't know if I think I mentioned this, but the ninth house can also be long distance travel. So there may be some kind of opportunities that open up for you. By the way, if this is something that you are really wanting, Capricorn, and you're listening in August, before August 22nd, actually, I'm recording this on the 21st, so, or maybe it could be right after the 22nd, I suppose. But, set your intentions, because this is the second, the 22nd is or actually the 23rd. I keep saying the 22nd. Yikes. The 23rd of August is the first of two new moons in Virgo at 0 degrees of Virgo. So set intentions for any ninth house matters, any long distance travel that you have wanted, maybe that has been somehow prevented for whatever reason. Any kind of appointment, if you are working at the university level in academia, anything for that, or if you are a potential student, because this solar eclipse, this could provide almost an instant manifestation for some people, because it is at 29 degrees. It's a black moon, which is supposed to be good for manifesting purposes. And the fact that it's a solar eclipse at the last degree means it's a very powerful new moon, to say the least. And it's in this area of expansion for you, whether it's mental expansion or geographic expansion. So, yeah, that is happening. The very next day, Mars is going into Scorpio, and that is your 11th house. That can be networking. It can be sometimes conflict with a group of people, with friends that you associate with. It could be activism. The 11th house is the humanitarian house, so it could be political in nature, whatever, some kind of cause that you believe in. You could be active with a group, or you could be sparring with them. You're disagreeing with them for some reason, that you don't like their tactics, or their objectives don't maybe debating some of their tactics. On the same day, the sun goes into Libra. So the sun going into that 10th house is like, kind of like Capricornian energy, because, especially if your sun is in Capricorn, you might feel like, yeah, that's me. I'm in the driver's seat right now. I'm in my career minded self. And there might be some connection with foreign travel and the work that you're doing. So that would certainly be supportive of anybody who has that potential, or that is a connection that you have, foreign travel. Then this would certainly suggest that you're going to have more opportunities for that type of work. Okay, that's what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope that this resonated. If you'd like a private reading, be it astrology, tarot, or both, I have package deals. I have individual readings for natal chart interpretation, transits, career, life path, love. You can find out more information at the link below, and the tarot, by the way. Thanks for listening. Have a great month. Bye.